So Minecraft is a game with lots of crazy different theories, and some of these theories are honestly truly mind-blowing, and some of them have even been confirmed by Mojang's team. And with the Warden now in the game, there's a lot more crazy theories coming out that are almost certainly true.
Number 1, the tragic timeline theory.
So the first theory that's absolutely insane is something that has to do with Minecraft's Nether portal. Apparently this Nether portal that we all know and love isn't exactly what you think it is. You see, this theory by IBX Toycat actually claims that this Nether portal is actually a time travel portal. Now let me explain, because this is about to get super interesting. So we all know that this is the Minecraft world that we know and love, right? But there are also two other dimensions in Minecraft. Now we have the Nether, which everybody knows, and of course we have the end dimension. Now remember that this dimension is called the end dimension for a reason. The insane Minecraft theory suggests that we have 3 different periods of time, and that the Nether portal that we get into is actually a time traveling machine. So the Minecraft Nether that we see at the start is actually the start, the overworld is actually just where we are right now, and then of course when you come to the end, this is what the end of Minecraft actually looks like if you fast forward in time. Now what's crazy about this theory is that there's a lot of evidence to support this. So although some actually think that the Nether is the Hell dimension, many would state that this is where Minecraft first started, and this is actually where Minecraft's origins are. So this is before Minecrafters knew exactly what to do. Now the reason the Nether is so prehistoric is because any of the mobs here don't actually know how to use bows and arrows. You see, when we look at the Wither, we can see that they're only using swords, but we know that their counterpart, the skeleton, actually uses a bow and arrow. That's because over time, the Wither transformed into the skeleton and learned how to use the bow. That's why the Nether is the past. Now the Wither skeletons aren't the only creature we need to look at. We need to take a look at the magmas too. So the magmas are a key part of the story. That's because the magmas are much slower than we realize, and in comparison, they're much slower than slimes. This is because over time, the magmas have evolved and have actually learned how to move quickly. So this theory definitely holds a lot of weight. Now, this theory doesn't just stop in the Nether. There's a lot that's going on in the overworld too. Now, the key here is to look in Minecraft villages. You see, in Minecraft villages, there is a hidden mob that spawns that holds a very good secret. This mob is, of course, the Iron Golem. Now, remember, the Iron Golem is, of course, the protector of the villages. And remember that he actually protects these villages for a reason. Now, this theory suggests that the Iron Golems actually evolve into something else. You know how in Minecraft, there is, of course, the End City. This theory states that, of course, these things that protect the End City are just evolved Iron Golems. These shulkers that we see are just the end result of millions of years of evolution of Iron Golems, which actually does make sense because they protect these structures. And of course, because it's millions of years in the future, we know that there's literally just a barren landscape. Now, one key piece of evidence that really tops this all off is the fact that this place is actually called the End, which means that when you travel through the final portal and you time travel all the way to the end, this is what you see. Now, if you take a look at these structures, you can see that they're much more complicated. This is because the builders have actually evolved over time, and that's why the Iron Golems actually evolve into shulkers that protect the villages. Although the theory does suggest that some people, like the villagers, are actually just dead now.
Number 2, the pig creeper theory.
So this next theory is honestly quite strange, and strangely enough, there's actually some evidence to back it up. So everybody knows what creepers are in Minecraft, but apparently these things are not what we think. You see, apparently the theory states that creepers are actually a strange variant of Minecraft pigs. Now before you think this is complete nonsense, you actually need to understand how creepers were added to Minecraft. So early on in the game's development, Notch was actually messing around with Minecraft mobs. The mob that he was messing around with was of course the pigs. Now as he was trying to code these pigs, he actually made a huge bug and something strange happened. The pig actually turned out to be tall and very strange looking. But because Notch liked the way it looked so much, he just decided to keep this mob inside the game. And this is a secret Easter egg that Notch may have added. Now there are some further explanations for this scary theory. Number 1 being that the actual skin that you see on the creepers is actually camouflage to camouflage them in with the grass that we see on the world, which is why sometimes you can rarely see creepers coming. And for the long necks, it's apparently because these creepers evolved to try and eat food from the trees. So this theory is definitely one of the strangest, but there's tons of evidence to back this up. So maybe it might just be true after all.
Number 3, the Warden theory.
So this next theory involves the Minecraft Ancient City, which is one of Minecraft's newest structures. So everybody knows just how dangerous these ancient cities are, and that's because of course the Warden exists down here. Now one important feature that many people don't pay attention to is the fact that the Shulk Shriekers act in a very interesting way. You see, Skulk Shriekers are activated when players walk nearby, but they aren't activated when any other mobs are near. This leads some to believe it's not actually trying to summon the Warden, it's actually the player who's summoning the Warden themselves. And this theory states that the Skulk Shriekers are actually man-made. You see, apparently the Minecraft ancient builders, they made a big mistake when they were actually summoning the Wither. When they summoned the Wither, they couldn't destroy it. So many of them fled downstairs to see if they could find refuge, rushing to seek shelter in the caves. Now when they made the Wither, this was much more dangerous than they thought. You see, apparently although the Wither was quite dangerous, the Warden was 10 times more dangerous. But of course the players needed a way to activate the Warden. That's why they made the Skulk Shriekers. This way they could activate the Skulk Shriekers immediately, and thus they could immediately get the Warden anytime they wanted to. And because they could summon the Warden anytime they wanted to, this is why the Warden isn't affected by any other random sounds. The Warden is only activated when players players step on it. Now, something that's really interesting about the skull is that you can literally see the souls swirling inside. And the theory also suggests that many Minecraft players actually sacrifice themselves in order to keep the warden happy and to keep the wither from ever coming back down again.
Number 4 is the Frozen Nether theory.
Now, this next theory takes place in the Nether, and it's one of the most craziest theories that you're ever going to hear. So everybody knows that the Nether is surrounded by fire. I mean, we can literally only imagine how hot it would be. After all, you can't even place water anywhere in the Nether. It's actually annoying and it immediately evaporates. But this theory actually states something crazy. You see, Minecraft's recent update added a new biome. Now, the game theorists mentioned that this is one of the keys to figuring out how the Minecraft Nether came to be. You see, this biome that we're currently looking at, this is called the basalt deltas. And what's crazy about the basalt deltas is that these are structures in real life, which means we can find out a lot more information about them by looking up some information online. Now, what the game theorists found was that these blocks of basalt that you see, interestingly enough, you actually need ice to be able to create these blocks. So if you grab yourself a bucket of lava and place it down, then you grab yourself the blue ice and place it down, then if you dig down twice and place soul soil, instantly you'll get some basalt. Now remember, basalt can only be generated if there is ice, which you can see I've placed right here. And instantly I keep generating new basalt, which brings us to the question, how on earth did all this basalt get here if there was no ice in here? This theory goes on to state that the Nether was actually a frozen over world, but that the ancient builders that came here actually ended up ruining the environment, which is why the Nether is now so hot. And not only that is why the Nether is so hot, so that's why anytime we enter the Nether, this is why pigmen try and attack us. It's because the ancient builders actually depleted the resources, which is why they're so angry at us, and it's why they want us to leave. And some would argue that this is a similar thing that's happening in real life, the same way that companies are taking resources from the planet and thus heating up the entire environment.
Number 5, the airborne virus theory.
So this theory was proposed by the game theorists, and this one honestly has a ton of evidence with it. It proposes that there's something secret about Minecraft zombies, and that there's an airborne virus that only affects the overworld. And if you don't believe me, take a look at this. Now, an important part about zombies is that they only spawn in the overworld. Now, of course, they do burn in sunlight, but it's an important feature you have to remember. You see, if you go to the Nether, there's no zombies. And if you go to the end, there's also no zombies. And some would argue that this is very confusing, but we have a solution. You see, Minecraft zombies actually look quite a lot like Steve. And we know this because, of course, we have the zombified villages. Now, what's interesting about this zombie virus is that if you ever go to a Minecraft village, you'll know that zombies can actually spread this virus to villagers. But what you don't know is that only 50% of villagers will ever be infected. This is because 50% of villagers are actually immune to the airborne zombie virus. Now, what's even crazier about this theory is what actually happens when you spawn in a piglin. When you spawn a piglin in Minecraft, it all starts to glitch, and in around 15 seconds, it actually converts into a zombified version of itself. The reason it converts into a zombified version of itself is because the virus is airborne. So why don't villagers automatically get zombified? Well, that's because villagers have lived here for hundreds of years and have thus built up an immunity to the zombie virus. Some villagers can be bitten and still won't turn into zombie villagers, they just lose health. And that's why when we spawn in these random entities from different dimensions, that's why they eventually turn into zombified versions of themselves. And the reason that we don't see any zombies in these other dimensions is because viruses in the real world never actually spawn anywhere where it's too hot or spawn anywhere where it's too cold. So this zombified virus theory is probably one of the most legitimate ones. And to add to even more lore to the story, it's the reason zombies get burnt when the sun touches them. That's because, like we said, viruses cannot survive the heat, which is why these zombies burn in the sun. Now, this next one is honestly hiding in plain sight. Now, remember how everyone loves the Nether? Well, I've honestly got some news for you. The Nether is not what you think. Now, of course, the Nether isn't going to be a pleasant sight by any means necessary. Some would describe the Nether as being the equivalent to hell in Minecraft. I mean, if you look up the definition of the word Nether, it actually says that it's hell. And the definition also says that it's a place of eternal suffering. Not only did we mention that the soul sands actually have people trapped inside the souls like before, we also have a place with no natural sunlight. Now, the crazy thing about this as well is that this is also all the way beneath the earth, which means it's actually pretty similar to the biblical hell. Now, whilst there is no devil in Minecraft, I'm pretty sure that if this wasn't called the Nether and it was called the hell dimension, you could argue that this actually looks pretty accurate, and that all these piglins that you see walking around are actually demons or servants of the devil. Not to mention all the fire around everywhere, and the only thing that's lighting it up is the lava. Now, here's your crazier secret that you might not know. Everybody knows that it's a bad idea to bring the bed to the Nether. That's because if you try to sleep, everybody knows that your bed blows up. What people don't know is how that actually works. You see, people think it's just a spontaneous combustion, but some Minecrafters think it's the devil that doesn't want you to sleep. You see, if this is actually hell, you're supposed to be tortured forever, meaning that there's got to be no escape from the apparent torture, which is why beds always blow up when you try to sleep. Now, you know those crazy crazy things called ghosts, which make those really creepy sounds in Minecraft. Well, some people say that they're actually angels that have been trapped here, and that's why when they see you, they make that noise. And for the rest of the time, they're actually asleep because they don't want to be in hell. They're simply trying to close their eyes so that they can get out. But of course, as you know, in this world, there's no escape. The Nether is trapped underground, and of course, these new angels are completely trapped here forever, which makes the Nether a more terrifying place.